Hey everyone, welcome out there everyone on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, wherever we're streaming tonight. And up for everyone here. Thanks for coming. Tonight we're talking about building your holistic health toolkit. So natural proactive approach to supporting healthier habits at home. All right, so I'm gonna go zoom myself to the bottom corner here. For those of you watching live at home. All right, so what we're going to cover tonight, some different things we can do: cooking, cleaning, talk about immune support, stress, sleep, all important stuff, digestion, and just some everyday support just to keep your overall health better. So some alternatives to keeping that holistic health toolkit, because a lot of us have those little first aid kits at home, right, that have your Band-Aids and all your pills and ill for every ill, but we're going to try to talk about some ways to keep you healthy. So, and if you need to reach for that natural first aid, if you will. Maybe not first aid, but first line of support. If you chop off your arm, go to the hospital. Or don't chop off your arm, maybe. All right. Let me see. Sorry, I hit the wrong one. All right, so we'll talk about some natural essentials like cooking, immunity, wound healing, and cleaning. So cooking, we definitely talk about keeping some good, healthy oils in the house. Avocado oil is a great natural support. Like I like people to cook with avocado oil. It's a healthier oil. It's not considered a seed oil, which is a lot more inflammatory and not healthy for you, as well as it cooks at a much higher temperature, so you're not worried about burning the oil when you're cooking. Do you want a clipboard or anything? Okay.
Thank you.
Coconut oil is great too. Again, much higher boiling point, so you can cook with that too. It does make your food taste a little like coconut, which is okay if you like coconut, but it is very anti-inflammatory. Olive oil is another good one. I don't like to cook with it, maybe bake because it doesn't, lower temperatures, but olive oil in general has a lot of healing health qualities as well. And this is a good way to get your healthy fats up. A lot of times we don't eat enough fat. So one of the things we want to do to stay healthy is a good healthy mix of not just carbs, but your protein and your fats, and healthy complex carbs if we can do it, preferably with vegetables and fruit, but also getting some good healthy proteins from organic, clean sources wherever you eat all your foods, as well as some good healthy oils. So this is a good way to get those good fats back up in our diet to help us out. Beef tallow, again, that might be everyone's bag, like Allie over there, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan. But it can be really healthy, but we want to make sure it's from a clean source: grass-fed, free-range, organic, grass-finished beef, and grass-fed ghee. Same thing. Ghee would be it's when they take off the protein, just eat just the fat from the dairy, so you get the good healthy fats without, and the MCT oils that are in there without getting the proteins that we feel can be very inflammatory. Immunity and wound healing. So there's definitely some things you can keep in the house for, around the house. You can eat these things, some of these things too. But Manuka honey is a really good, healthy, immune boosting honey. I also like local honey as well, especially if people who are dealing with allergies. Local honey can be really good for that. The more local, the better. So the closer it is to actually your house is, the better. Again, try to make them as organic as possible for any of these things. Elderberry, another good natural immune booster. Actually, I think we have in front of us in a few little packet a homemade elderberry syrup made by our one and only Michelle Ranieri, our amazing functional nutritionist. Thieves oil, some of the companies have different names for it, but thieves oil is a blend of oils that I think thieves oil is a Young Living name for their product, but it can be really good for fighting off infection and things like that. So sometimes it's good to keep in the house. You can put it on your feet, especially if you have little ones. You can diffuse it, things like that. Black seed oil, we love black seed oil. They say it cures everything but death. I'm not making claims, but that's what I've been told. It cures everything but death. But great for immune system, great for blocking some heavy metals into the brain. It's great for just inflammation and everything else. We like it for overall health and wellness. So it's a good thing to keep in the house. Make sure you have the right levels of thymoquinone in there, which is the main ingredient. We talk about that a little bit more later. I have a product I really like that I've been carrying. Other things we can do with, again, whatever you put in your body is really important too, right? Whatever goes in what you're cleaning your surfaces with, what you're cleaning your clothes with, what you're putting on your body when you're in the old shower. So Castile soap is usually a pretty cleaner version, doesn't have all those detergents in it, things like that. Thieves essential oil, again, these can be used in some other cleaning products. That's what I use at home. Actually, I use a thieves oil based product. And vinegar. White vinegar is great for cleaning things like surfaces, floors, stuff like that. Sometimes the easiest way to clean your floors with like your hardwood is white vinegar and water. And if you have to get those pesky stains out of things like your metal pans, right? White vinegar and baking soda, right? Sink, whatever. Cleans a lot of stuff. Can't really hurt yourself with that stuff. All right. And you can hit the button. There we go. So I do have some protocols I like to use for fever and sickness. I do have a much more extensive list if anyone wants that after we're done. These are just some things you can use. Tepid baths are great to ways to come and bring the fever. We'll talk about what things to do with fever, but there's some other things in here that are not as commonly seen out there, but chocolate can be a little healthy. It's helpful in there as well. Devil's claw, if you can find that. It's an herb that can help. Clove oil, pomegranate tea, peel, ginger tea with lemon can be really healthy. The last three are a little easier to find. Ginger tea, a little lemon in there, a little manuka or organic local honey. Dried thyme tea. So thyme is great for flu, especially and other viruses. But you need dried thyme when you do it. So get some dried thyme leaves, maybe get a tea ball and make that. I will tell you, it does taste not so good. So put some of that honey in there too. That might be helpful. Apple cider vinegar. So apple cider vinegar is great for a lot of things. It's a great thing to keep around the house. Obviously, I like people to dress their salads with olive oil and apple cider vinegar. So that's probably one of the healthiest ways to do that. But you want, first of all, if you want apple cider vinegar, you want organic with the mother. So that's that silt that sits in the bottom. That's all the healthy, good stuff in there. But apple cider vinegar is great for helping rebuild stomach acid. Apple cider vinegar is great for, it's a natural electrolyte. It's a good immune system booster, good for killing off bad guys. And it's also really good for being a natural alkalizer. There's a lot of things that are in nature that are acidic in nature, but more alkalizing to the body. And a lot of times we're exposed to too many things that acidify us. So sometimes it's a nice way to help realkalize you a little bit more too. So those are some things we like to talk about a little bit more. Belladonna is a homeopathic that can be helpful at times. Listen, fevers are important. So I always tell people let fevers run as best you can. Fever is the way the body fights things off. It increases the temperature to kill something. So you kind of need a fever. It's there for a reason. Now, it may not feel good. It may feel like crap. But one of the most important things is to do, let your body support what it's supposed to do to fight this thing off, right? So, little ones sit at a much higher temperature than we do to begin with. Up to 100.7 can be considered normal for a 12-year-old, up to 12 years old. So 102 for them is not 102 for us when you're an adult. 102 is a little bit more of a strong fever, but you can let them run a little higher. Obviously, be careful. Make sure how they're behaving is a big part of it. If you have little ones at home and they're 104 fever, if it runs high for more than an hour or so, you might want to medicate or use one of these natural remedies. But we like to try to let it run because we find it's a little healthier. Now, again, if the kid's a limp noodle or in distress or even the adult, then you just want to bring that fever down a little quickly. It's really about how they handle their fever. For anyone, adult or child, and especially if a kid has a history of febrile seizures, you want to be kind of careful with that. We want to try to stay away from Tylenol. Everyone who ever followed me knows I hate Tylenol. Well before it was talked about more recently, I've hated Tylenol. So don't use Tylenol. But so there's some things about fever I like to just talk about when I have a chance. How are we doing, everyone? Any questions or anything so far? If I'm going too fast, just tell me to slow down. I have a habit of talking very quickly. Oh, I didn't talk about the socks. So what you can do with the apple cider vinegar is you take wool socks and you soak them in apple cider vinegar, and then put them on, and then you wouldn't just leave them there soaked. It wouldn't do much for you. And then you put 2 dry levels on top and just go to sleep like that at night can really help. There's some other things you can do too. We've done some things. We've taken some raw onion, cook them up with a little bit of olive oil, maybe some black seed oil or olive oil, oregano if you have it, and then you can put that in socks. Some people will use potatoes and/or onion to kind of just pull some toxins out of the body. The feet are great, especially for little ones. You can put things in the feet to get in their body that you wouldn't normally feed them, like thieves oil. That's something else you can put on there. Peppermint, eucalyptus, tea tree. Just be careful. Some oils, if they're hot oils, like burny oils, that you want to use a carrier. All right. So some other natural essentials. Again, we talked about apple cider vinegar, good for immune system, good for digestive system. Castor oil, that's a great one. It's been made a lot more of a comeback lately. I knew castor oil as a thing in Looney Tunes back in the day where they would try to shove it in someone's mouth as like Tom and Jerry, and you guys are too young for any of that. But it was in the cartoons back in the day, like, oh, no, and they would have to hold their nose. But it's a good oil. It's very anti-inflammatory. It can really help with detox. A lot of people use it for everything. So one thing you can easily do is do castor oil packs, where you get these special, wool, not wool, they're cotton. I think they're cotton. packs, and you can put them on your body, right? Usually over the liver to help with detox. Some people use it over any kind of wound at all. It can be really helpful just as a natural good thing to keep in the house. Probiotics, prebiotics, postbiotics. Probiotics are those good guys in your gut. Antibiotics like to kill everything. They're not very discriminatory. And there's plenty of other things out there that kill off the good stuff in our gut. These commensal bacteria that work with our bodies to help with digestion, help with immune function, keep bad guys out, and even brain function. Gut-brain axis is a real thing. But many things we get exposed to can kill them off. Stress can kill them off. Antibiotics, vaccines, there's certain medications, certain foodstuffs will even kill them off, especially things like artificial sweeteners like sucralose. So it's good to put the good guys back in, and I don't necessarily recommend just doing it through things like dairy. It's usually traditional, like yogurt people do sometimes. The basic yogurt, like you see, like the Activia, it's not doing anything. There's maybe one strain, there's not enough of it, and most of it's dead. So you want to get a good, healthy probiotic. That doesn't mean there's not good fermented foods out there, that you can get some good probiotics, sometimes a good kombucha, especially if you're making it yourself. There are some good natural grass-fed, free-range, organic, raw-based kind of foods like yogurts and things like that, kefir or kefir, or whatever you call it. Could all be helpful ways if you do some dairy. But a good probiotic is always helpful. So make sure you have the right good strains that hopefully they list their strain number on it so you know what you're dealing with. And if they're made to be cold, keep them cold. There's some companies you see them on the shelf. It says refrigerate once open. If that's the case, they're probably already dead. There's many that are much more shelf stable now than there was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but a lot of them will die in the warehouse, in the truck, in the store, because they're not being kept in the right temperature. They're not very heat stable, but there are definitely some more out there that used to be. Prebiotics are things that feed the good guys. So sometimes it's good to take some of those. You just gotta be careful. Some of them are not great for everything, but it is good to keep some of those around. But again, if you want other good fermented foods, it'd be things like real sauerkraut is another option. But we don't eat a lot of fermented foods anymore. Our food supplies are very clean, if you will, so we don't really get to colonize naturally on our own, so it is good to supplement. Milk thistle is good, something to keep around the house. It's a nice little gentle detox for the liver, as long as you're not overdosing on it, taking 10 pills at once. But it's another way to kind of detox, and people can use that. I wouldn't take it every day, but you can take, semi-regularly if your goal is to keep your liver clean, or you a little stress on the weekends with it. Dandelion root, holy basil tea, those are other things that are good for detoxing liver. Just be mindful, sometimes those things can be a little dehydrating. And when we talk about fever before, I forgot to mention, one of the most important things with any fever is water. The easiest thing anyone has in their house, most likely, preferably not from plastic bottles, hopefully filtered. But hydration is one of the most dangerous things, especially with little ones. Fever is most of these diseases that they're worried about with people. It's not about, or even little ones, it's not so much the disease itself, it's the dehydration that goes with it. That's usually the number one reason why some of these, if a disease, especially a childhood disease, is fatal, it's usually due to the dehydration, not the actual disease itself. So water, especially if we're sweating it all out with the fever. Stress. So no one has stress in this room. I'm sure everyone is very calm, relaxed all the time, especially living in the Northeast in New York. I'm sure we're a very low stress place. Maybe you're out there on Facebook or watching from a more stressful place than the idyllic Long Island, downstate New York. But there's definitely a lot of ways to mitigate stress. Some things you can do some natural stress techniques at home, like meditation, yoga. There's other services you can see, like meditation classes or hypnosis or things like that, to help take the stress off the system. But from keeping around the house, there's definitely a few things we talk about. So frankincense is great for a lot of things. It's great for pain from a topical standpoint. It can be good for stress. Magnesium can help relax the body. There's definitely many different magnesiums out there. So you can do things like an Epsom salt bath that can help relax the body and muscles. You can take some magnesium supplements. Not all magnesium supplements are made the same. There's many different types of magnesiums. There's glycinate and oxide and threonate malate. There's all these different ones out there. But if you want to go with one that's really good for calm and relaxing, the easiest one that's probably the most common is magnesium glycinate. That's a good one to have. That will get you calms and relaxes the muscles, the nervous system, and everything else. Easy thing to keep around. Pretty inexpensive. Ashwagandha, again, that's another one of the things we call adaptogens. So adaptogens are things that help to lower the stress of the cortisol in the body. So things like ashwagandha, lithoros, schisandra, rhodiola, bacopa, those are all some natural things. Sometimes it's hard to just go grab that. But there are definitely supplements that have nice of these kinds of blends. We put a couple things in there that we do carry here. One's called True Adapt. Another one's called Copacom, which is great for really when you're really tough, in a bad situation of anxiety or stress, to help take you down pretty quickly, naturally. Okay? And then sleep. Sleep's an essential thing too, right? Sleep and stress are two of the most things that we have too much of and not enough of, respectively, right? You don't get enough good sleep, and we definitely are too stressed. If you don't get good sleep, good luck with your stress. And if you're too stressed, you're not getting good sleep either, right? So there's definitely some things we can do to help calm the system to allow you to sleep a little better, and things you can keep in the house. Lavender is great. Lavender's good too when you're sick to help, but also lavender essential oil can help calm, relax you stress-wise, as well as help you to fall asleep. Put a drop or two on the old pillow, as long as you like the smell of lavender. You could diffuse it too. Chamomile tea could be a nice thing. Valerian root is another thing. Again, we mentioned magnesium. So again, magnesium glycinate can be good for that as well. Or nice Epsom salt bath maybe before bed. Melatonin. Again, if you're going to use melatonin, we try to start with smaller doses. We don't like to start with these big mega doses. Actually, too much melatonin can actually wake you up. But 3 mics, if you can do that lower dose, would be a better way to start. Tart cherry is great for a couple reasons. I mean, it's one of them is the natural melatonin in there, but it also helps to lower uric acid, which can be inflammatory in the body. So these are the things we can take to help you fall asleep at night. Just be mindful of tart cherry. There's a good amount of sugar in there. And if you're someone who wakes up in the middle of the night, 2 or 3 in the morning, same time every time, staring at the ceiling, going, why am I awake at 2 in the morning? Or you think it's just because you have to pee, but it's always at the exact same time every night. That's usually about your blood sugar. So most people don't eat their last meal like 6, 7 o'clock, and then they go to bed. And within 7 to 9 hours, you burn through your glucose stores. So your body says, hey, we need fuel, especially when we're recovering in the middle of the night. And it tells the liver, hey, make some more sugar, make some more glucose. So when it tells the liver to do that, cortisol gets released, and cortisol spikes, and it wakes you up. And then you're staring at the ceiling, going, why am I staring at the ceiling? And if you have a little bit of stress, it's going to get worse. The brain just starts to go. So another little remedy we like to use that you can do at home, it's about a half hour before bed. I tell patients to either take a handful of either Brazil nuts or sunflower seeds, one or the other, with a little bit of like a teaspoon or so of honey. Again, either the organic Manuka or an organic local honey. And that usually can help you sleep better through the night. It's not perfect all the time, but it can be really helpful. If you're someone who's a keto person, I usually tell them instead of the honey, maybe do coconut oil. That can help as well. All right, what do we got now? Bam. So pain management. So if you're in pain, depending on what it's for, come see me or go see your local chiropractor. That is one great way. Chiropractic care, acupuncture, massage, physical therapy, Pilates, if you're, all those things can help your body to feel a little better. There are some other things you can keep in the house, though, because it's hard to keep a chiropractor in the house unless you're married to one, I guess, or have one as a child. But that's my parents. That's why they wanted me to go to chiropractic school, just so I could work on them. Arnica is a good one. That's another homeopathic that a lot of people use. You can get these things from Boiron, that they're these little tubes with these little tiny balls that you can just put under your tongue. Usually a couple like that, they dissolve. Be careful though, some of them do have a little bit of lactose sugar in there. So if you have lactose intolerant or dairy issues, it may not be good for you. Essential oil blends. Again, there's some good ones if you want to go with some name companies, like Young Living has the Valor. I think doTERRA, their same blend is called Deep Blue. I can't remember off the top of my head what the 3 or so different essential oils on there, but there are definitely some blends out there. Other companies make similar blends. Some people like to use some CBD creams, CBD roll-ons, even some oral CBD can be really helpful for gut distress, for pain. THC can be helpful for some people as well, especially with sleep, depending on what type of THC you're using. Not we're promoting any kind of high-level marijuana or THC use, but it can be helpful for people for different things. Again, frankincense can be really good for pain. We mentioned that earlier. There's definitely some other things you can keep in the house, certain herbs that can be helpful. Turmeric, ginger, good for anti-inflammatory. Ginger can be really good for gut as well. So you can keep those herbs in the house, throw them into a little smoothie sometimes in the morning. Just make sure that your curcumin, your turmeric just can get a little stainy. It has that orangey. It has a nice taste though. Or what's that? Golden milk, right? Use coconut milk, maybe a little turmeric in there. Um, what was a nice natural little thing there? Mine the last line. I went pretty quick. Huh? We also have some other products. We actually have one product that's a curcumin base, which is one of the main ingredients of things like turmeric, called Synovix, that we like to use from one of the companies we work with that has decent over-the-counter equivalent in the way of pain relief without the negative side effects. So, all those little things you can keep in there. And then there's some other kits that we work with. Did we talk about on here? They put that up on here? The kits? Okay. So some things we built together in our house that people can do if they don't want. Again, I try to be as much as I could to things you can kind of just go buy in the store, in the grocery store, keep in your house, that you kind of have. Some are even everyday things you use all the time. There's a couple of things we mentioned there that could be a little more supplemental that you could add. We do have some little kits that I put together that are good for quick little boosts, like to have in the pinch, that if you are, an immune boost, you want to try to fight something off, and some other stuff is more for just daily basic, good multi with some good probiotic and some digestive enzymes that you break down your food and absorb it better, or our kit for fighting infections. Silver cylinder is what we use. Is an anodized colloidal silver that's great for killing. Silver kills everything. It's great. Virus Save, which is a great little blister pack you take when you're not feeling well, kick something out. And black seed oil, like I said, it kills everything but death. Might as well keep it around. And our black seed oil is in the research percentages with thyme and rosemary oils that are helping just synergistic effect of its affecting the body. So those are the basics. Oh, my voice just broke. I'm like Peter Brady. Someone get that joke from this?
I do. It's one of the easiest.
There we go.
I got the Tom.
Now everyone knows the Brady Bunch, so I figured you did. I don't like to assume. So, any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What type of oils do you recommend? Like what brand?
So I've used Young Living. I've used doTERRA. I find them to be pretty good brands. I'm not trying to push any one company like that. There's another company I like to use that's out of Idaho, and Butterfly Essences is the name of the company. They make a really quality product, and they have even similar blends to what you'll get from the other companies without the multi-level marketing, elevated pricing that you get with all these companies like that. And they make, I could probably get you some information. I've got to find a link in the back. Yeah, no, they're a nice company. I like them. I've been exposed to them, their owners and stuff like that. And they make everything themselves, so it's pretty good. But yeah, that's some different companies. There's some other ones. Just want to make sure they're quality. Sometimes there's some out there if they're too cheap. They don't want them too cheap.
Yeah.
Because then they're watering down with water. It's not as quality product. So just because it smells like that doesn't mean you don't want anything with added fragrances or anything like that either. And a lot of times I'll tell people when you're looking at these natural alternatives for body stuff, look for ones that have a good essential oil based ingredients as well as for the fragrance, as opposed to having fragrances there. So you can find that in certain soaps. In fact, we had to work with someone who makes soaps for us. We carried in the office that actually a little soap shop right in Cabin House Photography, but she also has a soap shop right in St. James, and she makes really clean, no perfume, all that kind of soaps. It's nice stuff over there, and candles too. And she's a good photographer. So there you go, Kat. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
How do you guarantee that your honey is organic? Because wouldn't the bees that have to only source?
Well, I don't guarantee anything.
No.
But so what you have to worry about with more local stuff, especially when you're getting it like a farmer's market, the bees know where to go, and yes, they might go out of your yard to a yard that may be sprayed, right? And then the other thing is that the people around you are getting stuff sprayed. How much of that goes into your own yard? So you can't be 100%. You research the people the best you can. Hopefully, you're getting someone that maybe has a lot more property. They're not near other farms or things like that. That maybe is less likely that they're not gonna migrate too far. The bees, from what I understand. I'm not the apiologist. Did I say that right? But there are definitely ways to keep it a little bit cleaner for yourself. Then obviously, people can say whatever they want to say, right? I had remember when I used to have a little more hair and I would go get it done at the barber. She was telling about her uncle was seeing all these people driving out east, and they took chopped wood from firewood and went to the side of the road and put organic firewood. And he was charging all this extra money. People were like, he would sell out because he was selling organic firewood. I'm not saying go do that. I'm just saying you just knocked down a tree and chopped it up. It's technically organic. Right? So not everything is as organic as they say unless they have that stamp on it necessarily. Silly little anecdote. But does that help? You can never be 100%.
I always wondered that, like, if like someone's labeling it organic honey, do they like tell the bee don't go over here? It's not
Right.
organic.
Like if your neighbor's making it and you live like, in this area, chances are, unless your other neighbors aren't spraying anything, you're going to get some kind of pollution to those bees, unfortunately. So, and I'm sure there's certain things they say about what they're allowed to, distance they can be, and how they treat their bees. I don't know what they spray them with, the smoker. I couldn't say 100%. Like I said, I don't care. I don't want to take a chance. I don't want to get stung just for the hell of it. Even the best beekeeper gets stung a few times. So, anyone? Bueller? Okay. I'm sorry if I went very quickly. I can look at this little thing. Let's see what Michelle gave us. Because she gave us a nice little way you can make your own homemade elderberry syrup, which is always great for immune system. A nice bone broth. Bone broth's great for a nice electrolyte. It's a good way if you ever want to just do a bone broth fast to kind of clean out your gut and drop the inflammation in your intestinal tract. A good chicken feet stock recipe. So you can make your own chicken stock with feet of your chickens you have in the backyard laying your eggs. Don't do that. That's why you have them to lay eggs. Herbal steam essential oils, garlic and honey, 2 immune tonics. You can make your own garlic and honey immune tonic. Very nice. Some nice herbal tea she put in here. She did a really nice job. A little fire cider recipe. Fire cider is great for immune boosting. I'll do like a good fire cider. Honey onion cough syrup. And a nice nice natural electrolyte drink. She put together a very nice package for us. Should you ever need an amazing nutritionist, she does do virtual, folks. No matter where you are in the world or the country, she can work with you. Our great functional nutritionist, the one and the only, Michelle Ranieri. Let me see. Do we have the comments on this one? No, we have a couple people said hello. What's up, Franklin? Nice to see you on there. But yeah, so unless anyone has any other questions, I'll do a wrap. We can sit and chat a little bit more if y'all want to talk off camera. But I'll say goodbye to my people out there. Unless someone has a comment, drop it online there now. What am I doing here? Otherwise, do I have my goodbye shots on this still? I'm trying to shut this thing off. Here we go. There we go. Bam. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, comment, share. Talking to Facebook.